The Boston Celtics have a lot of talent, and they have been a consistent playoff team in the Eastern Conference for the past several years. However, this talent hasn't really translated to a championship run, and most people don't consider them legit NBA title contenders. So in today's video, we'll talk about the Boston Celtics, some of the players that they have, and why they could be dark horse NBA title contenders this season. Let's get right into it. If you've not already, please make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'm uploading videos every single week and your support goes a long way. But anyways, getting into things, when you look at the Boston Celtics roster, there's really not much more you could hope for on an NBA team. They have multiple stars and a lot of high quality role players. They play well both on offense and on defense. They've had a good coach for the past several years. Obviously, Brad Stevens is no longer their head coach anymore, but he chose the guy to replace him who he thinks will have success on the job. So like I said, a complete team, good management, good coaching staff. The Boston Celtics pretty much have everything you could want to be a contending team. However, unfortunately that really hasn't been the case. Despite the fact that they have made the playoffs, they haven't really made a deep playoff run, and many people don't consider them on the same level as some of the favorites in the NBA, like the Nets, like the Lakers, like even the Warriors or the Clippers. One thing that really separates the Boston Celtics from a lot of other teams in the NBA, in my opinion, is the fact that they have two elite wing players in Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. The only other team that I can think of that might have better wing players than them is the Los Angeles Clippers with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, but besides them, I don't see a better wing duo than the Celtics have. In my opinion, elite wing players, specifically the small forward position, are the most impactful and most important players on the court. You look at guys like LeBron James, like Kevin Durant, like Giannis, like Kawhi. These are all the top 5 players in the NBA, and they all play the same position. That should tell you just how impactful these guys can be on the court. So the fact that the Boston Celtics have two of these young, talented guys who can score as well as defend other teams' best players is something that I really think should be recognized a lot more, and it's something that I think they can definitely have a lot of success with in the future. And to go along with having 2-star wing players, the Celtics also have a very talented supporting cast around them. Marcus Smart is one of the better two-way guards in the NBA. We all know him as a tough-nosed defender, but throughout his time in the NBA, he has really improved his offense as well. Josh Richardson is another great two-way player known for his defense. Robert Williams is a big man who, if he continues to develop, should scare a lot of NBA teams in the future. He's a great athlete, he's a good defender, his offense is a little bit raw, but he's improved it so far in his time in the NBA, and I think that if he can continue to develop his skills and hone his craft, he should be a very, very good big man for them in the future. They also went and picked up Al Horford, a veteran center, a guy who used to play for their team. He's a little bit out of his prime, but I think that he should definitely add value to their team on both ends of the floor. Enes Kanter, a little bit limited defensively, but on the offensive end, he's a very efficient inside scorer, and he's one of the best offensive rebounders in the NBA. They also went and picked up Dennis Schroeder. Obviously, he wasn't the 3rd star alongside Anthony Davis and LeBron James that the Lakers wanted him to be, but in my opinion, he's a very good signing. They got him for cheap. I think that he has a chance to be better than Kemba Walker was for the Celtics. That's no slight on Kemba, but he was just unreliable and inconsistent for them. I think that Dennis Schroeder can definitely come in and do a good job as the point guard of the Boston Celtics. They also went and picked up Chris Nunn, a guy who's been disappointing to this point in his career, hasn't really lived up to expectations, never has really had a major role on a team, but he is a very good defensive player, and he just adds more depth to their bench. So obviously the Celtics have a lot of very talented veteran role players who add value to their team, but the reason that I think that they are possibly title contenders this season and definitely going to be title contenders in the future is because of some of the young guys they have developing. Peyton Pritchard is one of the better young point guards in the league in my opinion. I think that he's going to be huge for them this season. Leading that second unit off the bench is going to be his main role, and I think that he's going to thrive in that role. They also have Aaron Nesmith, a guy who didn't do much in in his rookie season, didn't see the court a ton, but he came into the NBA as one of the best shooters out of college, and I think that if he continues to get a consistent jump shot, if he refines his skills, I think that he could also be a guy off the bench for them who adds value, not only this season, but definitely in the future. Like I said before, they also have Carson Edwards, Romeo Langford. This team is so deep, it's ridiculous. And I think that the combination of their star players, their role players, and their young players is definitely something that is going to be a huge advantage for them this season. And I think that it's something that not a lot of other teams have, at least not at the level that the Boston Celtics do. We didn't get to see this team at full strength in the playoffs last season, obviously because Jaylen Brown went down with a season-ending injury. It's very tough to win in the playoffs without one of your stars, and it's almost impossible to win in the playoffs without one of your stars when you're going up against a team like the Brooklyn Nets. When the Celtics have a complete team and Jaylen Brown is 100% healthy, I think that they can match up against pretty much any team in the NBA. Having two elite wing players, like I mentioned before, is a luxury that almost no other team has, at least at the level that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are. And obviously with Marcus Smart, with Robert Williams, with some of the other players that they have, they can guard pretty much every position at a very, very high level. However, even though I do believe that the Celtics have a lot of depth and they are a very well-rounded team, I think they still need a third star to go alongside Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown to truly become title contenders. Whether that comes at the point guard position or maybe an elite big man, I still think that they need one more guy to take the load off of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, especially on the offensive end. It could be one of the younger players they have still developing, or maybe they pick up somebody in free agency in the future. But while I think this team is very talented, they are definitely one player away, in my opinion, from being true title contenders. Even though I think that the Celtics still need one more guy, and they're probably a couple years out from being true title contenders, they are definitely still going to have a lot of success this season, and I expect them to be a high seed in the Eastern Conference. With Jaylen Brown coming back, if he's 100% healthy, the Celtics could definitely have some success and win some games in the playoffs, and they are a team who I think if you overlook them, they will definitely punish you. While I don't think that they're at the level of some of the true title contenders are, like the Nets, like the Bucks, like the Lakers, like the Clippers, like maybe even the Warriors or the Heat, even though they are not at the levels of some of those teams, if those guys are not at their best, the Celtics are 100% capable of beating them, and I definitely expect them to oppress a lot of people this season. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know how far you think the Celtics will go in the playoffs, whether or not they are truly NBA title contenders, and remember to drop a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. I will see you on the next one.